This is Jim. I'm behind the camera and I'm going to show you today's project. This is my take on Mr. Pete's indicator holder. I know most people watch Mr. Pete, and he is really good at what he does, and I'm going to tell you, I really enjoy his videos. He's really precise and instructional. I got the inspiration for this for watching his video. He's got a couple 3D printed ones, and it's been done several different things, and he's made them for the AXA size. And there's other people, Pragmatic Lee, who's here in North Carolina in the eastern part of the state, has made one of these, but he made one where you could turn the indicator and you don't have the adjustments done. I really like the design that Mr. Pete had. And Mr. Pete talked about using smaller indicators on his, and that's what these have. I ordered these off of eBay because the Shars ones that Mr. Pete described that was out of stock when I ordered my indicators. So in my design, or my adaptation of the design, this is basically a 3/4 inch thick, about 1 inch wide plastic piece. I've got plenty of. I cut a dovetail in my case, fit a BXA holder, 1/4 stud. You know, I used all thread for this. Obviously, if you look down at my lathe and look on my lathe and you see my videos, any of my videos, you'll know I've got a lot of tools for larger lathes that I've adapted to my Grizzly, and I use pretty constantly. So that 1/4 is a pretty constant thing. And the fact, I got one of the tools sitting over on the counter. Excuse me just a second. This is my chamfering tool. So you see, again, 1/4, pretty consistent. It makes a good adjustment. And then I just put 2 screws. I've got some brass 1/4 screws, and that's it. So come along today, watch me make this and watch me use the mill, and I hope you enjoy today's video. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start on a project today, and I'm going to make me one of these double-ended indicator holders similar to what Mr. Pete has. I'm going to do something a little different. I've been studying on this for a while. Well, what I'm going to do here, instead of milling out all this, I'm going to use a thinner piece of material. So I can just set my indicators right here on the top of it. So that way, once we put the indicators on, we don't have near the issues. And I think I can get by with it. I'm going to do some more calculating here in just a few minutes, and then we'll see. I'll bring you back. Okay, I've been studying on what I want to do, and the way I want to make my unit is I don't want to, the ones that Mr. Pete made, he milled out for the indicator, made them thicker. You really just don't need that strength. All we want to do is something stable to put the indicator on. And looking through the material I have some aluminum, but for this to work properly, it's going to need to be about 3/4 inch thick, roughly. So to make this work the way I want it to, and with the design that's in my head, basically what I'm going to do is take a flat piece of material and cut dovetail in it. So what we're going to do is I've got a lot of this material here. Handy. So 3/4 inch. It's either derlin or it's some sort of thermoplastic, and I've got a lot of it. So I'm going to take this flat piece of this and machine it up. The indicators of mine's going to set just somewhat like this, right here on the top of it, just like this. And then I'm going to mill the dovetail and put the adjustment screw in it. To me, it saves machining. It saves all that cutting them radiuses as such as Mr. Pete did out, and it will make a good practical unit to use. So you can see, the one thing about my shop is tight, so it's handy to work like it. All right, I'll turn you around, bring you back, we get started on the mill. I'm not going to get aggressive here. I'm just going to clean these up. I'm going to use this indexable mill that I have because it's handy and it's right here. It's just good to go. I mean, we'll just fire this fool up. All we're going to do is all I'm doing is that this particular piece of plastic, derlin, was sawed out of something else. And so the ends are not true as they should be. So we're going to touch it just a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to try to take us a light cut across this and see what we get. All I'm going to do is I've squared it up. This is plastic. We're going to turn it into a leather rock. You may have to take a couple of passes here. Still got some saw marks right there. So I'm just taking a light passes. Now I got this cranked up pretty fast. It's flat barely, so it's not going to take much. And let's take this 4 or 5 thousandths at a time here just to get a little cleanup. This was cut like on a saw. So I want all this stuff square to the world, as square as I can get it. That looks good. What I've done now is we faced both ends off. I just went ahead and done that because you didn't need to see that process. That's fairly straightforward. Today I'm going to be a bit lazy. That's a ½ inch. That's a ½ inch mill. 2 foot for plastic. This is not that hard to cut. I'll go ahead and what I'm going to do is kind of get started and take it down to about 100 thou out. This is plastic, it's not going to give us no trouble. Trying to get us a notch to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and take it down. I know I got to go at least, I think, 300 thousandths. So let me make sure. Buzz this out about 100 at a time. I'm going to go about 300. And we'll give it a quick check, see where we're at. And we'll get it backed up here, get us a quick check, see where we're at this morning, and go from there. The reason I chose the ½ inch cutter is I got to admit I'm a bit lazy this morning, and I don't want to change collets. I just change the cutter. No, excuse me, 3/4 cutter. It's not a 1/2 inch. It's the same size shank as the dovetail cutter that I have from Randy Richards. So, this one, get off this top. I don't really care about the bottom. Best way to deburr this stuff's what you see doing. I've worked with this stuff a lot. Let's see if we can get the mics in there and see what we've got. We're looking for something like about 420. Actually, what I'll do is I'll usually cut mine to the point. I usually cut mine, say about 400. I mean, excuse me, about 400. So I'm about 313 here. So yeah, 313, and so we got like 420, I believe. What I do is I like to put my centers in first, close to the depth. Yeah, about 422 on the block that I'm checking here. So I can go, like I said, three. I said I was what I was 3. 320. I'm about 100 off. Go back and check this one more time before we. So carpenter's rule: measure twice, cut once. I am 311, so I'm gonna go about 90 thou, and that should be good. Because I'm gonna leave a little bit. Then we'll work the bottoms out as we come from there. Bring you back in just a little bit. Alright, I made my preliminary cuts for the dovetail, so, and this is what you call preliminary, and I'm just going to use the calipers because it's going to be a long way to go, and so I can get to it. Alright, the block I'm using is about 1 inch and 80 thousandths, and so according to what I'm looking at here, I've got 1 inch, and I'm going to use the mics, but I'm just getting close. So I got about 1 inch and 10 thousandths. So I've got basically 70 thousandths to come off. So that's about 35 thousandths aside. All I'm doing, instead of doing a bunch of fancy center finding, and come on again, if I'm off a few thou, it's just not going to really hurt. So basically, I'm just kind of walking it up there, touching it. Again, it's just an easier way to center it up. So it just speeds up. So again, this isn't critical. I mean, it's got to be perfect, and I want, you know, as long as it's close to the center of the dovetail hole. So that's what we're doing. We're setting up right now. Get it close to the center of the dovetail hole. Okay, that's close to the center of the dovetail hole in the hex. I'm going to kind of walk it up there and just touch that right there. And then I'm going to raise that up. I think that's a 1/4 inch pin. Same pin I used to do everything else with. It sure is 1/4 inch. Crank the SN $125, I'm going to say. I might be off a little there we go. Zero it. And then I'm going to put a 1/4 hole, and I want my hole off of the stud. That's right quick. Let me get the scale. So I want it off a 1/8 of an inch. That's basically what they are. So I want an 1/8. So off a 1/4, 1/8 and an 1/8 1/4. So another 250 in, and that'll be right where the hole needs to be. We'll do a quick sanity check with this pen. Make sure that it looks good. That might be a little more than I want. Just a hair bit more than I'm wanting. So that's what I want right there. I might have been just a little off, so that's why I'm checking it. There we go. Now I'm lined up exactly where I want to put the hole. We'll get the stuff out and drill and tap it. There we go. One hole. Simple and quick and easy. Now we're going to drill some on the ends, and I'm going to kind of just lay them out. Let me grab it. Ooh, got a little happy. You see that? I got a little happy. I didn't even read. Now that's the bad thing about derling. This stuff will cut so easy when you put your little chamfers in like that. Then it'll just literally mess you right up. Let's see what kind of speed that's like. A little quick, but that ain't gonna hurt nothing. Neat and slick as you can get. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is just simple. I'm just going to lay this thing where I want it. I'm going to need to go down on the table just a hair. There. So almost what I'm going to do is just lay this kind of where I want it and center it up by eye. And that's how we're going to put these holes in. Right there. I'll probably hand tap these holes because they're going to be going in here plugged. I'll hand tap these. Sudden up. All I got to do now is just set the x-axis. The Z won't be moved, and then we'll hand tap these holes because it'd be this a lot better. And looks good to me. Let me walk this over to the bench where I can hand tap it. That's the finished product right there on the lathe. How it finished up. I ended up having to do a little extra work there. My dovetails is a little bit loose. One of the bad things that I've noticed, but it'd be just fine, is this dovetails won't lock as good on this derling. I guess the plastic itself gives a little bit when you lock down on the dovetail. There it is. If you'll notice, set there right there on the table both ways. That's for the OD. And let me clip you up here and kind of turn you around. I got you sitting in the lathe, by the way, so then you just take this out, turn it around. And these do always have a little difficulty. There you go. See, it does. You'll notice it doesn't really lock down. So what it does with plastic, it kind of, but it's still firm. It's just not firm or tight. It is aluminum. And this is the finished look. I used some brass screws. And see, the reason I decided to make this thing flat like this instead of making it thicker and machine is this is just fine. I mean, this works real good. This will do the job. And why? I'm not saying nothing wrong with the other designs. But then again, that's more machining time. I mean, you really think I've probably done this in about a couple hours. And the hardest part's always getting the dovetail right. In fact, this is the second one. The one that you're going to see a lot of the video on, I actually cut the dovetail a little off. Somehow or another, I wasn't careful enough with the plastic chips, and it evidently measured it wrong, and it just wouldn't lock. So I just had to grab another piece up and make it. And I learned some new things about how to dovetail, a better way to keep my dovetail straight. So that's always good. And but outside of that, that's the product. Hope you know. So this will probably be the glass clip on this. I tell you what, if you like what you see, you like what I'm doing. If you don't, not a subscriber, subscribe. Tell all your friends. Tell them about the crazy old retired dude in the shop here in Dallas, North Carolina. And this is my take on it, and I hope you enjoy.